Hello, thank you for watching me. These are my thoughts, things I noticed in a Kent Hovind debate. It's an old debate. I'll put a link to it in a comment in the description. So if you want to watch the whole debate for yourself and see what the name of the guy he was debating against was. He was debating against a geologist in this debate. First, things that Kent Hovind said, or things I noticed he said. This debate, Kent Hovind showed very clearly why I say that I don't recommend you go to him for your theology, because Kent Hovind apparently overlooks the same verse in the Bible that a lot of other Christians overlook. They say, oh, Eve was so deceived, Eve was evil. And the devil said, if you eat the fruit, you'll be as gods. That was a lie. And Kent said that, improvement of humans, he sees an improvement of humans by evolution to the next, whatever we end up as, and becoming like God are the same thing, but they aren't. There we go. But as to whether Eve was completely lied to by the devil, or the devil gave Eve partial truths, in the Bible, Genesis chapter 3, verse 22, it says, "And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil, and now lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever." Become as us. God said it. That Adam and Eve became as gods when they ate the fruit. So, Kent Hovind, like many other Christians, ignores that verse. Kent Hovind, one thing he said that was correct. Kent Hovind did not claim in this video, in this debate, when the subject came up of, is his belief proven by the science, Kent Hovind said his religious belief, his theological understanding is not proven by the science. Just science proves that there has to have been a designer that made these things because the complexity of life and the body parts is too complex to explain by random rotation, random movements of things being shuffled around. The opponent, Kent Hovind's debate, misconstrued one point that Kent Hovind made about gravity. And maybe Kent could have been more clear on this one. He said we don't know, something like we don't know gravity, light, don't know what gravity is, light is, and what was the other one? Gravity, light, there are three things. Kent wasn't saying that we don't know what gravity does. We know there is gravity, and nobody is disputing that. But we can't put it in a bottle. We can't create gravity. On science fiction movies, the spaceships have artificial gravity. And maybe one reason they have that is because it would be very complicated for the makers of movies to try to make people float around. Why not just, while they're on Earth, making a movie about something that happens in a galaxy far, far away, or in this galaxy but extremely into the future? Why not just make up some technology so that the spaceship in the future has gravity like Earth does now, and the actors don't need to have strings suspending them, or get on an airplane, and as if you get on an airplane and you take the right flight pattern for a couple minutes, there's no gravity. One thing he said was that the age of the Earth is probably going to be 4 times older in a few years. One thought I've got about that: why should I trust a constantly changing number? You know, when you get a consistent number, then come back to me. You know, it's like if I make my own ammunition for a gun, and they say to use a certain amount of gunpowder, the next year more, the next year more, the next year more, and I'm using 100 times more gunpowder 1 year than I was using 10 years ago, at some point I'm going to find a different source for how much gunpowder to use. And the source that kept making it bigger and bigger, I'm going to tell them, when you can get a consistent number, then I'll believe you. But if 4 billion isn't right because it's probably going to be 16 billion in 10 years, then why should I believe the 4 billion now? Why should I believe the 80 million or whatever million it was 20 or 40 years ago? To his credit, Kent Hovind's opponent in this debate admitted that the geologic column does not exist anywhere on Earth, and it only exists in the books. He still believes it, though, for some reason. But at least he was honest enough to admit that, you know, scientists don't dig... Well, Lyell, when he created the geologic column, did not create it because he had been digging in the earth for years. He was a lawyer who hated the Bible and hated God and wanted some way to argue against the Bible. One thing he said that was ridiculous is design is made by men. No, it isn't. That's a stupid thing to say. Design is a fact. Now, the word design is a word that men use, but the concept of something having to be put together and assembled by intelligence and power is not a man-made concept. It's just a fact that certain, you know, combinations of parts and shapes do not just happen. You know, we can't get the animals to tell us what they're thinking, but I bet you there are some bears out there. They could tell you the difference if they could, you know, articulate what they're thinking between a tree that just grew there, between a rock that is just there, and a car, and a tent. They could tell the difference. It's the difference between being designed and not designed. One thing Kent Hovind pointed out was that when dirt was brought back from the moon and they tested to see how old it was, they came up with an extremely wide variety of possible ages. It was something like 2 million or 2 billion all the way up to 18 billion. Kent Hovind said they just picked the age that they wanted without any scientific basis for it. And the opponent in this debate, his explanation was there was too much backscatter when they did the scans to measure how old the moon dirt was. And that they really did have a scientific reason for picking the age they picked, and it wasn't something they just pulled out of the clear blue sky. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced by that bad explanation. One accusation he made, which was ridiculous, is that medical knowledge goes against religious dogma as we're learning more about the body and how it works. That's not true. The Bible gives us very little medical knowledge about how the body works. And where it does give us knowledge, it doesn't contradict the new discoveries being made. Now, he wasn't specific. Maybe he was thinking about Islam, where the sun sets in a muddy pool on the earth. where I've heard some hadith quoted, and I'm going to read the hadith one of these days, where Muhammad said that sperm is formed in between the backbone and the ribs. Not here. No, wrong place. Maybe he was thinking about that, but he was at this debate against a Christian, so it was an improper point to make. Even if he was thinking about a different religion, he should have been more specific about what religion. But in general, medical knowledge has not disproven Christian, biblically based Christian knowledge about how our bodies work. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.